Okay, let's see how much of this we can get through before the end of Blugoween. Nancy Drew, Girl Detective, The Haunted Dollhouse, based on the series by Carolyn Keene. Stefan Petrucia and Show Mirage. Also published by Papercuts, who do a lot of different graphic novels for a lot of different communities. Anyway. Nancy Drew here. It doesn't take a detective to figure out that you're probably wondering why I'm driving this vintage roadster instead of my trusty hybrid. Well, Mr. Dave Crabtree, an antique car dealer and a client of my father's, loaned it to me. In fact, a few hours ago, he loaned out all his cars. Nope, he hasn't gone nuts. It's all part of River Heights Nostalgia Week. Everyone participating, and that's most of the city, is wearing 1930s clothes and using period technology to celebrate the creation of the Stratemeyer Foundation in 1930. Well, at least we're not celebrating the Kromeister Company. Chapter 1. What a dollhouse! Our housekeeper, Hannah, found the Drew family contribution, this old clock, up in the attic. The week ends with an antique auction, all the proceeds going to the foundation. I was on my way to drop it off at City Hall and watch the opening ceremonies, little realizing a vintage mystery was about to take place. Even my best pals, George and Bess, got into the act. So what's buzzin', cousins? Yikes! Check out those spiffy wheels! Better go easy on the gas, or you could blow a Babbitt. Some people wouldn't think a real doll, as they used to say, like Bess, would have such a knack for machines as she does. And a Babbitt is a special alloy used in old car bearings to reduce the friction of moving parts. It's great, Nancy. Get a terrific car, but I can't even use my cell. I can't believe I let you guys talk me into giving up my computer for a whole week. I mean, that's like asking Nancy to give up mysteries. Oh, you're just being a party pooper. I love this old stuff. The 78 RPM records, the old phones. Can you believe they used to make recordings on wires? Okay, gals, this thing is heavy, so let's say we shake a leg and get over to town hall. Shake a what? 1930s slang. It means let's get going. Let's. In front of City Hall had also been made a match to match the mood. Even the street lamps had been replaced. So let me not waste any time in introducing my partner in this affair, Mrs. Emma Blavatsky. Mrs. Cornelius Mahoney, who runs just about every charity event in River Heights, was behind this one too. But this time she had help from a newcomer. Thank you, Agnes. As you know, the Collins estate I recently purchased was built in 1933. So I thought it would be appropriate to put this wonderful architect model on display here. I didn't know Mrs. Balvatsky. She seemed sweet, if a little senile. I'd heard her say she was very superstitious and believed spirits spoke to her. According to the spirits, the Collins children I've spoken to through my Ouija board, oh my, this just got real. They played with it as a dollhouse. As a matter of fact, I believe the model itself may be haunted and capable of predicting the future. Haunted? Give me a break. The old dame is dying for attention. Well, but how do we really know? I think this calls for a closer look. Check out the detail. It's even got a little hidden staircase. Wait a minute. Why is that doll wearing a mask, like a burglar? It looks as though it's stealing the painting, and that window's broken. Sheesh, I swear. You see a mystery in every... Sheesh. Check out the details. It's even got a little hidden staircase. Wait a minute. Why is that doll wearing a mask? Like a burglar. It looks as though it's stealing the painting that window's broken. Sheesh, Nance. Sheesh, I swear you see a mystery in everything, Nance. It's been a few days since your last case, so you're just getting antsy. George wasn't kidding. I did have a nose for mysteries, but she of all people should know my hunches usually pay off. And this time, again, it turned out I was right. According to the police report, at about the same time we were speaking, the silence at the real Blavatsky home was shattered by the sound of breaking glass, and the crime happened exactly the same way it did in the dollhouse. Creepy, huh? So did this mean the motel really was haunted? I, for one, don't believe in ghosts. In my experience, there's always a simple, realistic explanation, even when it looks like there isn't. But it certainly was a mystery, which meant next morning I headed straight for the crime scene. I was a little surprised to see that even the River Heights police were using old-style cars. Thanks to the cracked window where the burglar entered, I could clearly hear Chief McGinnis talking to Emma Blavatsky inside. Sometimes the chief fills me in on details. Sometimes he doesn't. So I decided to eavesdrop. So that's the proof. It was ghosts. The painting was worthless. My brother painted it as a child for years. We kept it in the family bungalow. It was just last week I took it out of storage. For some reason, the spirits always wanted it. I know I shouldn't laugh at other people's beliefs, but poor Mrs. Blavatsky just sounded kind of silly. That is, until she really started talking. I know you think of me senile, Chief, but it is so hard to believe some parts of us survives death. Nearly all religions do. Everyone has at least one story where they've seen something they can't explain or felt the presence of a dear departed standing near. The air is full of energies of those who walked the earth before us. I speak to them, sometimes see them, and I know they are in that dollhouse. Why not believe the veil between our worlds sometimes grows thin? Some lost soul can slip through and the past can come to life. She sounded so sincere. She had me wondering if some ghost might be standing right next to me.
Boo!
Ah!
Sorry, Nance. I saw you out there a while ago, and since I already feel like I'm dressed for Halloween, I couldn't resist giving you a little scare. Since you're here, why don't you come inside? Mrs. Blavatsky has already asked for you.
I was thinking about mentioning how strange he looked in his old hat, but I decided that I shouldn't, especially since he was letting me into the crime scene. Hi, Mrs. Blavatsky. Nancy Drew. So many people respect you in River Heights. Perhaps you can convince them that the spirits are behind this theft. I'm afraid first I'd have to convince myself. And I'd need to know why, for instance, a ghost would have to break a window. Poor dear, sometimes you just have to stop reasoning to see the truth. Or leave footprints. The spirits controlled whoever broke in here. They told me so themselves. If they gave you his name, we could find him and return the painting. I suggest you return the dollhouse. It may hold the answers for you. Alas, they do not speak that clearly, even to me.
Ha! How about all that spirit talk? It was probably just some petty thief who stole the wrong painting.
I wouldn't insult other people's taste if I were wearing that hat, Chief McGinnis.
If you ask me, Emma Blavatsky is a sweet old loon. Very funny, but she insisted she doesn't want anything ruining Nostalgia Week.
Much as I agreed with Chief McGinnis that still didn't explain the dollhouse. It'd been moved inside the city hall to protect it from the weather. Everyone we asked said the dolls were in a different position before the unveiling, and the case was locked the whole time. What kind of ghost would haunt a dollhouse anyway? A little tiny ghost. Make fun if you like, but this is really creeping me out. I have a stuffed monkey in my room, a souvenir from my trip to Lilac Inn last summer. And now I can't get to sleep because I think it's staring at me.
Maybe you should cover it with a blanket.
But I'm afraid it'll suffocate. Hey, that security camera would show whatever happened to the dollhouse. Yeah, Chief McGinnis already asked about it. Sorry, but that camera's on the fritz. Oh, well, I kind of figured I should try to solve this case without modern technology anyway, in keeping with the, spirit of Nostalgia Week. Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Look! I turned my back for a second and the dolls changed. I didn't even see that tree before. It looks like that one is stealing a horse. Not only that, but the toy tree looked just like a pretty famous tree right outside River Heights. Legend had it, the Rackham gang had a shootout with a local farmer here over a century ago. Strange scene for a new crime, but perfect for a picnic with my boyfriend, Ned Nickerson. And after 2 hours, not a horse in sight. It says here spiritualism was big in the 1930s. People used everything from automatic writing to tipping tablets to talk to the dead. Yeah, well, the famous magician Harry Houdini spent a lot of his life debunking that stuff. He swore if there were an afterlife that he'd come back, and we're still waiting. Maybe, but you have to admit there are probably things in the world you can't explain. Nance? Ned was right. There were lots of things I couldn't explain, and right then, I was staring at one. I don't believe it. It's just like the dollhouse. Now, that's quite a coincidence. Deirdre Shannon, what are you doing on a horse? Well, not everyone rushed off to snatch the free cars, and my father thinks it would look bad if I violated Nostalgia Week. Besides, riding's much more classy than steering a filthy old tank. Don't you think? Daddy rented me this wonderful girl from Shadow Ranch. Did you say hi to Dave Gregory for me? Deirdre's been my nemesis since grade school, but sometimes it feels like she's been trying to get the best of me since the 1930s. Oh, I love it. To make things worse, she's always been trying to flirt with my boyfriend. Ned, you sure are the bee's fleas in that outfit. If you mean the old slang term, I think you mean bee's knees, but thanks, I think. Look, Deirdre, the figures in Madame Blavatsky's dollhouse at the town center showed someone stealing a horse right by this tree. The last crime it showed came true. So I know it sounds weird, but I think you should be careful. Sounds weird? Now why would it sound weird? Oh, I know. That's because it is totally weird. Just like those clothes you have on. Oh dear. I'd better get home and consult my Monopoly board to protect myself. So, Ned, want to come with? I think you I think you meant Ouija board. And no thanks. Have it your way. Guess I'd better get off. Get out of here before some of those horse thieves show up. Ha! That's more Wild West than 1930s anyway. Deirdre? Look out! Ned, help! Whoa, easy there. Distract him! Distract him! I'll get the horse. Distract him? Like this? Wonk. I figured there must be something special about this horse if the crook wanted it so badly. Hey. And I wasn't about to let a big clue like that slip away. Unfortunately, though, Ned's pretty strong, and the crook slipped away from him. And I had a feeling an apple wasn't going to stop him this time, especially when he had a truck. Of course, in keeping with Nostalgia Week, I didn't bring my cell phone. And the closest place to go for help was Redgate Farm, 5 miles away. Ned hopped in my roadster to help, but it wasn't made for off-road driving. Not only was the chase off-road, but soon I was off-horse. Unlike Deirdre, I wasn't exactly dressed for riding, you know. My head hit something hard. I felt grass underneath me, then everything started going fuzzy. Last thing I remember was the crook taking the horse back towards his truck. Then, for the longest time, nothing. Next thing I knew, I was in a ballroom. Everyone I knew was there, only they all wore old-style clothes. It was like some kind of party. Ned and I twirled across the dance floor. So I knew it was a dream. I love Ned, he's great, but he's not much of a dancer. Then he said something terribly funny, or I guess he did, because we were both laughing. It was the perfect evening, the perfect date, the perfect dream. Only it turns out, it wasn't a dream. It was a nightmare. So, now do you believe spirits haunt my dollhouse? Yow! Welcome back to the world of the living. To answer your first question, Ned is fine. He's downstairs waiting. To answer your next 2 questions, no, they didn't catch the crook. And you've been out for 3 hours. Hannah's been our housekeeper ever since Mom died. When I was little, sometimes I think she knows me better. Sometimes I think she knows me better than I know myself. The doctor says you'll be fine, too. I did leave. Did I leave anything out? Nope. I guess that covers it. Fortunately, the roadster was none the worse for wear, and after I dropped Ned off at home, I went to visit Chief McGinnis. Since he'd invited me into the crime scene, I thought he might still be willing to share information. I was wrong.
Look at that bump on your head. You've already been hurt, and your boyfriend Ned's lucky he's in one piece. I'd be crazy to give you any more information on this case.
But you are going to have someone watch the dollhouse, right?
Sure, and maybe I'll set up a ghost detector as well. You're a smart girl, Nancy. Surely you know what a coincidence is. There is no evidence. These crimes. There is no evidence these crimes are linked.
Technically, he was right, I suppose, but I had a hunch, and my hunches are seldom wrong. So if Chief McGinnis wasn't going to do a stakeout on the dollhouse, then I would. Someone had to be moving those dolls around, and to find out who, I decided to do it the old-fashioned way, by sitting and watching. Unfortunately, this means a little breaking and entering, but it was for a good cause. Bess and George think that when I have my head in a mystery, I forget everything else. Gas, appointments, they even think I forget to be scared. They're wrong about that part. I certainly do get scared, particularly when I'm all alone at night in a huge building. Focusing helps. Thinking about the problem. Then before you know it, hours pass. Finally, at about 3 in the morning, I heard something. A quick shine of a flashlight shone on a moving shadow. Scratch, scratch. I know it was ridiculous, but part of me was half expecting to see one of Mrs. Blavatsky's spirits. I shook the thought out of my head and tried to focus to quiet my beating heart. Scratch, scratch. But nothing could have prepared me for what I saw. Scratch, scratch. The dolls were moving by themselves. End of chapter 1. I'd like to say I wasn't scared, but come on, the dolls were moving. I mean, I'm usually pretty good about this kind of thing, but yes, I was officially freaked. Oops. I wanted to run, but my feet wouldn't cooperate. In a way, it may have been lucky I fell, because by the time I got back up, I'd gotten hold of myself. I realized that since it couldn't be spirits, it must be some sort of trick, and I was determined to find out what kind of trick it was. Chapter 2, Ghost of a Clue. But before I could get back to the dollhouse... Someone there? Mr. Duncan, the watchman, looked so much like he'd stepped from the past, it was hard not to smile. Don't be looking at me funny, Nancy Drew. I'm not the one trespassing. Mayor Strong asked me to wear this get-up for Nostalgia Week. What's your excuse? When I explained, he hurried over to the house. Dagnabbit, Chief McGinnis told me to keep an eye out. Now I've missed the whole thing. The dolls really did change. This is one for the old diary. If I had a clue where I'd put it, that is. Mr. Duncan, did you see this dollhouse set up? Could the dolls be mechanical? Was there any machinery? I don't think so. I think it was solid. Excuse me. Sure thing. I figured there was only one way to solve the mystery for sure. Hey, that's private property! Mrs. Blavatsky would scream bloody murder if you smashed her old dollhouse. Actually, I was just aiming to crack the case. But he was right.